Okay, we're going to talk about ellipses. So the difference between a circle and an ellipse is that a circle is every point on it is the exact same distance from the center. An ellipse actually has two things called the foci. Every point on here has a corresponding relationship distance away from the foci, and we'll talk about that in class more. We'll show you what that means. But what that means is there are two little points in here. It's not a center, it's two little points. And every point is a certain distance away from those. So what are we going to do? We're going to have a different equation. The equation to this guy right here is going to be x minus h squared over a squared plus y minus k squared over b squared equals 1. So this one is different than the circle because there are two numbers under here, and the two numbers under here have to be different. So what we're going to look at is we'll have something like this. So what does this mean? This means that I have a point, I have a central point that is the h comma k, or 3, 4. From this, to get my points this direction, I move away plus or minus a. So for each of my points to the left, I'm going to do plus or minus a, which is going to be the square root of 16 or 4, plus or minus 4. For the points up and down, I'm going to do plus or minus b, which is the square root of 9 or 3. So what does that mean? I'm going to go on my graph and go to 3, 4. For my x values, I'm going to add the a value, which is 4. So I'm going to go plus 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Minus 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. For my y's, I'm going to go plus or minus the b, which is 3. Plus 3. And minus 3. And that's what it looks like. So it kind of looks like a football if you draw it wrong. But that's kind of what we're dealing with there. It's not circular. It's more oblonged. Oblonged. So what happens if I do this right here? Well, what's different from this one than the last one that I did? On the last one, the larger number was under x. On this one, the larger number is under y. Why does that matter? Well, that means that from your center, you're going plus or minus 3 from the x and plus or minus 4 from the y. So what happens on our graph? From here, I'm going to go plus or minus 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. From here, I'm going to go plus or minus 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, what's different between these two? This one we would say is a vertical ellipse, meaning that it's taller than it is wide. The other one we would say is a horizontal ellipse, meaning that it's wider than it is tall. What matters about that? Well, in the book, they'll teach you different equations for the two. They'll say that a horizontal looks like this. No, minus. And a vertical one looks like this. But it seems confusing to me to try to remember two different equations. So I'm not going to try to do two different equations. I'm just going to look at it as how it is, okay? I'm just going to look at it as if it's wider, then the a value is going to be bigger. And if it's fatter, then if it's taller, then the b value is going to be bigger. I don't care about changing those numbers around. Some people will make you, I'm not going to make you. Now let's say that we want to find the foci. To find the foci, For a horizontal, that means you're going to do h plus or minus c, comma k. For a vertical, you're going to do h, comma k plus or minus c. So how do we find the c because it's not in our equation? You guys remember the Pythagorean theorem that said a squared plus b squared equals c squared? Well, now that's a lie. What I want you guys to remember now is a squared minus b squared equals c squared. So what do we need to do here? Well, on the example that I just did, I'm going to use 16 minus 9 equals c squared. 16 minus 9 is 7. So c equals plus or minus the square root of 7. So what does that mean? Well, that means to this value that we have right here, our center, negative 3 comma 2, I'm going to add and subtract the square root of 7 to the 2. So negative 3, 2 plus or minus the square root of 7. And that's going to give me these points inside of this that have an equidistant relationship to every point on this ellipse. That's what those are for. Let's see if I can do one with a little better numbers. What are the good ones that work? Okay, so if I have I'm going to find the center. So the center is going to be at 3, 4. I'm going to find my A value. My A value is 5. My B value is 4. So to find the C, I'm going to do A squared minus B squared equals C squared. A squared is 25. B squared is 16. That is going to give me 9. Square root of 9 gives me 3. Plus and minus. So this one, the larger number is under my x. So I'm adding and subtracting 3 to that. So my foci are going to be at 0, 4 and 6, 4. What does that mean? On my graph, let's look at it. Center's at 3, 4. Remember that I go to the left and to the right, the square root of this, or 5 units. 1, 2, 3, 4. To the left, up, 4 units. So my ellipse looks like that. The foci are 2 points at 0, 4 and 6, 4. So here are the foci. And we'll look a little bit closer in class what those foci do. And that's it.